I gotta change the question. I forgot I even did that. Okay, let's see. What's the question? What's the first song you learned on guitar? I mean, real song, not like some school thing. All right. So I'm gonna hang out. Hey, Bob, what's going on, man? I'm gonna hang out, wait for some people to show up, and then we'll go. I have all these guitars around me. Like, I'm not like they're not for display for the video. They're just so up I don't have to get up when I'm working. Just stay in my chair, put things down, pick things up. You know. I do have a session today later after live stream, and the composer is coming here, so which is always convenient. I don't mind going anywhere, but I prefer to. I mean, it's just nice to be able to have all my instruments here. Let me adjust this light a little bit. Aim this up more at the ceiling. Get rid of that shine on my forehead. That didn't really change anything. Let's get rid of these. It's amazing. It's really dark in here, but it doesn't look dark on the. Let's see what it looks like on the Google. Yeah, it doesn't look dark there. So this camera really does absorb a lot of light. Hey, Scott, what's going on? Don't Look Back at Anger by Oasis. Oh, that was your first. Yeah, you know what? That's actually a great song. There's a couple songs by Oasis that are real easy to play, to get. And I as a teacher, when I was teaching, I would do simplified versions of songs. Heck, you could even do what was it? Deep Smoke on the Water with one string if you wanted. I mean, one of the first things I taught students, actually first lesson, usually it was just a dexterity kind of exercise, but it was a song at the same time, which is a great tool to have. And it was so it was like solid eighth notes, nothing rhythmically complex, but it used all four fingers. That's Peter Gunn. Now I'm probably going to have to take that down. So I just played Peter Gunn if I have to edit that out. I had to edit out a piece of this piano before. I made some changes in it. I think it was for last week. And the week before, I got a copyright strike because I guess it sounded too much like Let It Be. So instead of doing a shared revenue thing, because I don't really make any money on these videos. I mean, if you give me something, that goes to me. But if I look at how much these live streams make me, it's literally none of them cross $1. So I'm sitting here for 2 hours for 50 cents basically. And so, but they gave me a copyright strike on it. So one of the options that Google gives you or YouTube gives you, which is great, is you can just cut that part out. So there might be a kind of a weird edit in the middle of that video. If you're watching it and you're coming back here and you're watching me now, that's why there was a weird edit. When I was playing over it, it didn't care. If I was talking over it, it didn't care. But what I did was I just let that piano part, and now I've changed the piano part a little bit, so it's a little less like Let It Be. It's the same chords, but it's got more of a roll to it, and I tried to make it a little different. All right, now is that loud enough? I don't know. I don't want to run the risk of going in the red here. I'm trying to keep tabs on that. Although I can always turn down the level on the OBS software, and that way I can have it a little louder in the room. It's like this weird. It's really dark in here, but it doesn't look like it is, and it's also really quiet in here, but it doesn't sound like it is there. It's like the weirdest thing. The camera exaggerates both the volume and the brightness in this room. So, I mean, seriously, if I open up, it's sunny out. If I open this up, this is this is what it really is. So you can see when I shut this, it's like it gets dark. I gotta shut it all the way. So, all right, we're gonna keep talking about soloing, and we're gonna keep talking about soloing over this progression. I talked about doing a. I should do this. It's an easy thing to do. I'll probably do um, like a kind of a jam, a funky jam, a two chord kind of soul jam. I should have done it last week because I know what's going to happen. As soon as I throw it up there, I'm going to get a copyright infringement. And I'm like, no, I wrote this or whatever. And I'm just going to make it like a 1-4 progression, like a 1 dominant to 4 dominant progression. Like A to. I'll probably do 2 guitars, bass. I probably just do sampled bass, so because it's going to be 10 minutes long. So I'll loop, but I'll stagger loops. Like I'll do one guitar that'll be like an 8 or 16 bar loop, and another guitar will be like a 24 bar loop or something like that. So I don't have to play it twice for 10 minutes. But I want the jam to last 10 minutes because that way you can get into the zone and stay there for a while. Because it may take you 5 minutes to get to that place where you're like actually starting to come up with some musical ideas and developing something, and then the jam track ends. That almost always happens to me. Most jam tracks are like 5 minutes, and it's like you're kind of working through something. You're trying to find something. And then as soon as you find it, like the jam track ends, and you're like, and now it's an ad. So I do not put ads in my jam tracks. There's one at the beginning, one at the end, or maybe 2 at the beginning or something like that. But generally, if you go to any of my jam tracks, there won't be any ads in the middle. It's not going to stop once you're in there, because I tell the story about how when I was a kid I would use a little tape recorder and record myself playing, a progression, so I could jam. I didn't have a digital audio workstation. Computers didn't even exist, and so I had my realistic cassette deck, and I would get bored. I would do maybe 3 minutes, and then when I rewind the tape to practice over, it would right when I was kind of getting into that place where I was finding something or getting a scale under my fingers. It would end, and I was like, dang it. Okay. So I was never patient enough. So I try to create the jam tracks to be pretty long, and, I might even go more, usually like 11 minutes. I think I try to get to around, 10, 11, 12 minutes, something like that. So nothing under 10 minutes if I can help it. Okay. So I have 870 plus videos. That's crazy. Have I passed the 130,000 subscriber yet? I put that on my Instagram. I think that in my handle or whatever. Let me see where we're at. I think we're getting close. Well, about 150 away. So I got 120.95. It's really growing slow right now. My lightning in the bottle video is still my #1 video, but it's really not getting many views. The revenue's gone down. Everything's gone down. If I look at my top 10 videos, #1 is the 7 tips for older beginners. #2 is the bluegrass jam track. So I should do more jam tracks. I actually have 2 jam tracks in the top 10. Both of them are the bluegrass ones in the key of G. So I have the 100 BPM one, 100 beats per minute one, and the 120 beats per minute one. Great practice tracks. Then play most any song in DADGAD. I can't believe I should do more DADGAD videos. Play most any song in Open D. Again, those are probably doing fairly well because there's nothing out there like that. Okay. And then I have 3 of these videos, but only one of them is in my top 10, and that's 5 songs with only 2 chords. And I think this was the first one. And I did this back in the apartment before we got to the house. So. Then the bluegrass jam track at 120, #7. #8, some fun chords in Open G. And this is an old video. This is from 2013. So this one's actually 11 years old, more than 11 years old. No, wait, December 2013. So 10, soon to be 11 years old. And then 3 major scales, beginner, interesting. So why is that one climbing? That's a new, I don't think let me click on this one and see what the analytics say on it. And then 7 chords in the key of C. So that's interesting. So the beginner stuff, again, yeah, see, interesting. It's suddenly moving up. Okay, wow, it really broke out of the, here, I'm gonna do a screen grab of this so you can see what happened. It really broke out of the mold here. So I'm going to show you some of the analytics that I get here. I'm sorry if this is too inside baseball for you all, but you know, some of you are aspiring YouTubers, and it's a good thing to kind of know how things work. But yeah, so I think I can just drag this over. I can get rid of that for now. Boop, boop, boop. So you can see this. So you see it's the background is a kind of a dark gray, and then there's a light gray band at the bottom. That's what my videos on average do. So they usually fall with that. Well, you look at this video, and it when it first came out, and the first, you know, 400 days, 500 days, okay, 600 days, it broke out a little bit. And now look what it's doing here. So that's kind of interesting. So I'm wondering if somebody promoted it somewhere. But this is good. This is the kind of thing you want to see. I mean, usually there's a peak at the beginning and then it just falls off. So this one kind of got up there at the beginning. If we were to zoom in on that first day, it would look, or the first week, it would look like, whoa, look at that. And then it just kind of flattens out. So it had been flat for 400 days. So I find that's kind of interesting. And let's look at this other one. The other one, this one is number 10, and let's see, how do I change it to all time? Last 28 days. Now, just so you know, in the last 28 days, I've only made $1 off of it, so it's not like it's a lot, but I've gained 19 subscribers. That's interesting. Okay, this tells me that, okay, where do I change the, oh, here, I'll change it to all, since uploaded. Okay, so what was the view I was getting before? I'm confused. When I clicked on this, key moments for influence. Yeah, audience retention. Why is it changing? Yeah, okay. So reach. Yeah. So, I mean, it's only had 9,500 views. And the videos, the previous one, not this one. Sorry, the one I was talking about, the 3 major scales. No, this is the one. Okay, so it's maybe $31. Hey, you know, I'll take it, right? But that's in how many years? And then the other one was what? 3 scales, 3 major scales, yeah. And this, yeah, like I said, this one's kind of grown. Oh, see, now that's the view I want on the other one. Let me see if I can find that. It's funny. It's like, wait, help me, work with me here. Okay, so this one actually only has this one spiked at the beginning. I don't know why. It's suddenly getting more views though. And this one is 7 chords in the key C, also recorded back when I was living in the apartment. So anyway, I'm not getting the same graph that I just showed you for this one. It's interesting though, and you know, that's kind of one of the lessons in YouTubing, is to pay attention to the information that they give you, because it's very valuable information. My last video, which was the $10 guitar mute, not even 1,000 views yet. I don't know if that will grow. We'll see. It's kind of flattened out. But yeah, Go to channel analytics. There we go. Yeah, so I'm gonna, yeah. And then if I continue and see more after number 10, 7 chords in the key of C, then it's some fun chords in open C tuning, which is a weird tuning. Yeah, so anyway, sorry, I'm probably way too inside baseball on this. Let me see. I'm still waiting for some people to show up. Probably people are like, you're not talking about soloing? No volume on the guitar. Oh, when I was doing the funk stuff, I didn't have my volume up. Let's see. All right. Well, Scott, if you're still there, welcome. What's the first song I learned on guitar? I mean, real song, like not out of the kids' book. The kids, like the music song, Alfred's Basic Guitar Method or Mel Bay. Might have been like Funny Little Man by Crosby, Stills, Nash. I mean, not Crosby, Stills, Nash. By Seals and Crofts. Funny Little Man. Not a very known song, but I like that record, and it was a very guitar-driven thing. I don't remember how it went, but it probably had some kind of finger picking. Some kind of finger picking pattern like that, if I ever remember, but. All right, so we're going to keep talking about soloing, and so one of the things that remember I commented last week on Beato's video about the Stairway to Heaven solo and how Jimmy Page was so brilliant to step out of the minor pentatonic and hit that F note, right? So it's like. Right, he ends on that note instead of this note. And I said, yes, that's amazing because he's playing over the F chord, so yeah, that makes complete sense. But in some ways, and that note is kind of on the low side, some ways but that E note, if he landed on the pentatonic note, the note in the scale, it would have actually been a little more interesting. The F note is kind of a little inside, a little in the pocket, a little more obvious. Inside, in the pocket, obvious. The E note, while it would be almost the more lazy thing to do, or the more like uneducated thing to do, like an uneducated guitar player might play that note just because he thinks that's what Jimmy did, because that's what the scale does. Because they learned this. They learn the pentatonic scale, and they think, oh, it's got to be in there. Well, no, you can do whatever you want to do. You can start in a scale and then somewhere else. And so that, and he also does it. And I didn't catch that. So I taught it for years. I didn't notice that he hit, because it went by so fast. I don't think I noticed that. Maybe I did at some point when I was teaching that song, because I taught that song a million times. It was a great way to eat up like 6 lessons. Between the song and the solo, it could be a 2-month, endeavor for your average student. And they all wanted to do it. But it just took a while. When you're doing half-hour lessons, it just takes a while to churn your way through all those sections. I mean, it's an endeavor, to say the least. But if Jimmy, again, that note shows that he knows what he's doing. That note says, oh, Jimmy knows theory, and he knows he's playing an F note, and this is an F chord over an F chord, and this is an F note, so it makes sense. But to be honest, that E note is, to me, more interesting over the F chord. Okay? So what we're going to do today is we're going to find some interesting chords, or notes. We're going to find some interesting notes over the chords. It's actually going to be super duper easy. All right, now I want you to look at the chord progression for this right here. Is this loud enough? Yeah. Okay, so it's basically we have C to G. So it's kind of the let it be chords, A minor to F. But it's literally probably 50,000 songs, probably 50 songs, probably 50 hits were using these same chords. And maybe instead of G, it went G over B, you know, like. You know, any way that. Any way you do, you know, you play through that progression, all the different genres you could play through. There's been a million songs with that, and so once you start experimenting with it and go, oh, what if I finger picked it? What if I strummed it? What if I did power chords? What if I did muted notes? All of them are going to reveal some song. You go, oh, well, that sounds like this song or X, Y, or Z. Okay. But if you look at the progression down here, boom. Okay, C, G, A minor, F. All right, let's look at the roots. C, G, A, F. C, G, A, F. Okay, now look at them on this C major scale I wrote out for 2 octaves here, okay? So we have C, and then you go up to G, and you go to A, and you go down to F. See that? C, G, A, F. All right. So what I want to do, C, G, A, F. And it's not a bad thing to practice that. That would be like the most inside solo you could ever do over it. Now, I think actually I played that and got in trouble with the algorithm at YouTube and everything just by playing the roots. But what I want to do is a more interesting note is to play the 2 over every chord. Okay, it's super duper easy to find that. Again, look at the C, G, A, F. Okay, all we do is we go up 1 letter name from that. Okay, so we go, instead of C, we go to D. So over the C chord, we play a D. Over the G chord, we play an A. Over the A chord, we play a B. And over the F chord, we play a G. And so what we're doing is we're playing the 2. It's like we're playing a C2 chord, a G2 chord, an A minor second, and an F2 chord. It's like we're adding that to the harmony that's going on, okay? So let me do that right now so you can hear it. And one thing you could do, because what it's going to do is it's going to create tension. It's a suspension. You're actually playing one of the suspended notes. The roots of any, you know, the 3 notes in any chord are the 1, 3, 5. The suspensions are the 2, 4, 6. And don't worry, I broke my cup that said there won't be a quiz on this. So I'm going to have to order another one. I think I'm the only one that's ordered one. But so there won't be a quiz on this. All right, you can take a sip. But you've heard me say suspensions before. You've heard me say, you know, a sus4 chord. D sus to D, or D sus4 to D. That's the 4 to 3 suspension. The great thing about the 2 is it can either go down to the 1 or it can go up to the 3, and we're going to do all of that. Okay, so we're gonna sit on the 2 for the full 4 beats of each of these chords. We're going to go a 2-1 resolution on each of these 4 chords, and then we're going to go a 2-3. Okay, so if you look at the, you'll see again, the 2 is a D, and we could take that D up to E, or we could take that D down to C. Either way, it resolves. The tension goes away. Either way. Okay, we get to G, and the 2 is the A, and if we take that A up to B, it resolves, the tension goes away. If we take that A down to G, it resolves, the tension goes away. We go to the A minor chord, and we have a B note, is the 2. Well, this is the one where up a half step is the 3, is the third of the chord. So that tension will go away if we go up to a C, or the tension will go away if we go down to A. And then over the F chord, the 2 would be the G. So you're just going F is 1, 2 is the next note. 1, 2. You only have to learn how to count to 2 today. That's all we have to do. I mean, maybe 3 if we want to talk about that resolution. But we could just do the 2-1 resolution. And the 2 would be G. And if you go up to A, you're resolving to the up to the third, the 3. If you go down to F, you resolve down to the root. This is good stuff. And you'll hear it as soon as I start playing, okay? So here's the C chord. And now I'm going to play D over the C. I mean, those are beautiful notes. I particularly like the G over the F chord. The reason the G over the F chord works so great is because you can just stay on that. And when you get to the C chord, if you look at the C chord, there's a G in the C chord. So it stays resolved. Check it out. I'll do that right now. I'm going to go up octave. Okay, I mean, those are the notes by themselves. The tension, there is tension, but there's beauty in it. There's beauty in it. I mean, that B over the A minor sounds great. Okay, so let me play these notes. Let's play them up here. So we're gonna play the D at the 7th fret of the G string here. Okay, and that's our 2 of the C chord. Okay. Then we go to a G chord, and the G is here, but I want you to go up to this A here. Stay on the 2nd and 3rd strings. So the first note is here. Okay, and it would be, if we did the roots, it would be this. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do the roots. C here, 5th fret of 3rd string, and then G at the 8th fret of the 2nd string, and then go up 2 frets to the 10th fret of the 2nd string, and that's an A note. That's the root of the A chord. And then we go down to the 6th fret of the 2nd string. So first note's on the 3rd string, and then the next 3 notes are on the 2nd string. It almost sounds like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, right? But if I move that up a whole step, okay, so let's play the roots. Practice your vibrato. Slide. And this is about as obvious as you can get. About as inside as you can get. Now move it up a whole step. How's the balance? Is it okay? Yeah, the F chord and the A minor are close. Well, A minor and C are very closely related too. There's only 1 note difference between those 2 chords. The G chord is kind of the outlier. The G chord has a B in it, which none of the other chords have. Yeah, the F and the C have only 1 note in common, but the C and the A minor have 2 notes in common, and the A minor and the F have 2 notes in common. So, yes, we sprang forward. And by itself, it sounds just like that in C. But when you throw the chords in, it's another one of those things where it's like, oh, that's a boring melody, and then you put the harmony under it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, if I put the click, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I put the harmony in, or click in there, you can hear how fast the beat actually is on this. So it's actually pretty fast. But so what I want to do, see if you can get this down. I'm going to go. So. And you'll notice I'm kind of using my 3rd finger to my 2nd finger. Oh, I mean my 1st finger. So what that's doing, that's creating is a 2-1 resolution. The 2 is the suspension, and this is the 2 of each one of those 4 chords. But we're going to resolve it. So it might require you to kind of memorize some stuff. So let's go slow. Here we go. D, C. Now I can stretch out this so it's twice as slow. Let me see. Is this copy and paste? Okay, let me cut this and drag this here. And then I can do, what is it? This? So you hear the chord progression now is twice as slow, half as fast, whatever. Okay, so it's going C, and then to G. So now we have more time to make that, find the notes and change it. Okay, so we're gonna go D to E, C. Okay, so let me make a little note here so we can see what I'm doing, okay? I need to create a new text thing. Text, okay, yeah, sure. 2 to 1. 2 to 1. I don't know why I need to necessarily name it, but the C chord, it would be D to C. All right. Okay, so let me just make this a lot smaller. Come on, there we go. And I'm gonna actually make this a lot smaller because we're gonna need to do others. All right, we're gonna have more fun with this. That's my okay, and then over the G chord we're gonna go G to A, and then over the A minor chord we're gonna go sorry, B to A, and then over the F chord I've got that little phlegm thing that everyone's got. Everyone, I think it's because here in California we have had so much rain. Everybody's got this little phlegmy, like cough, not cough, it's just phlegm on the tubes, and it's gotten much better actually. Just noticing it today, but so this is a kind of a 2 to 1. I'm just gonna say reso. It's kind of the 2 to 1 resolution. All right, that's what we're doing. I know that looks kind of funny, but and so it's, and you'll notice I was because I'm bored and I'm bored. So I was putting some special sauce on these notes. Like I was using my first finger for every note. So I could do that little hammer on. And the thing is, I'm gonna tell you the truth right now is that hey, what's going on? Ming. I'll call you Ming. Oh shoot. Let me do the Discord. Have you been telling me to do the Discord? Let me edit this and I'll put the Discord link up here. Copy. I forgot to do that. All right. Oops. Nope. Pin. Okay. So I'm pinning the Discord link. So you can join the Discord. Any diagrams that I create, PDFs, things like that, they're going to be up there in Tom's Lessons and PDFs tab on the Discord. If you go to the Discord, try to use your, whatever name you use. You can change, I think, your name for different things, and try to use the name that you use here in the YouTube there. so that we know who you are. We can make that connection. So here's a crazy thing though. When I slide up to that 2 over the C chord, and I do that little lilt, little whatever, you know, I don't it's a I wouldn't call it a mordant, it's a little accent note, whatever. That note is not in the key. That's an E flat. Like if I really wanted to be in key, but that's almost too intentional. That is more, I'm going so fast on that note, and it's not easy to do. I could also do it with a hammer, with a slide. In some ways, it's almost just a little trick to keep the note ringing. You know, especially if I didn't have so much, I have a lot of distortion, so it's going to ring for a while, but vibrato keeps the note ringing. But that little mordant thing, I get it, no problem. I mean, you can always watch this later too. Okay, so it doesn't, because you're only on that note for just a split second, it doesn't need to even be in the key. I could even go easily like that. Go to that C sharp, which is clearly not going to be in the key of C. Where I went down a half step. And part of it's just to keep the note active. A part of it is to keep it from being a boring in this case, 4 beats of the same note. That's kind of long. I gotta hit this. Hold on a second. Okay, so do this with me. We're going to go 2, 1 in C, and then up to the 10th fret on the 2nd string to the 8th fret, and the 12th fret to the 10th fret. I'm being beckoned. Hold on. Okay. All right. Got my good. All right. And so that's what the C, D. I'm going to go change sounds here. And that's over the slower progression. If I want to go the faster progression, well, that's weird. If you can get it up to that speed. Okay, now, there are lots of songs that use that kind of device, that 2-to-1 device. I think of Nadia's theme. What was it? And then also whatever that, I forget, you know, it's like, whatever the song was. What is that song? Careless Whisper. Is that Careless Whisper? It's like every sax player just messes around. If they want to mess with you, they'll do that in a saxophone solo. Like they'll do like. Yeah, so when you do the 2-1, it's kind of the beginning of the saxophone lick from Careless Whisper. You finish it off with like the 5, the rest of the triad. But that can totally, that's you can do that as a gag. But if I were to, yeah. Okay, so let's go back and do this a few more times. The 2-1, I'm going to do on the slow progression. I'll turn it up just a little bit so you guys, make sure you guys get it. Okay, now up to A, to G, up to B, the 12th fret, 12 to 10, and then 8 to 6. Should be really pretty. Sorry. 10 to 8, 12 to 10, now 8 to 6. Back to the third string, 7, 5. You just use your third finger and first finger. Now try using just your first finger. And slide into it. Because notes by themselves can be kind of boring, but the great thing about guitar is you have so many ways to approach a note. It makes it a little more interesting. And I know you're hearing other places you can go, but we're going to stick to this just to kind of learn it. Okay, we're going to go down to the same here, same fret, and now on that string, 9 to 7, and now 5 to 6. Octaves. That's one of the advantages of playing all of this with your first finger, because you can add that pinky, you get that octave. Okay, all right. So that's the 2-1 resolution. All right. We're going to go to 3. For 3 of these chords, we're going to be able to go up a whole step. So from C up to E, from A up to B. But on the A minor chord, we're going to go B to C. And then we're going to go over the F chord, we're going to go G to A. So we're going to resolve to the 3rd of each of these chords now. All right? Let me write that resolution in. I can actually just add it to this one. 2 to 3 reso. I am being beckoned. Hold on. All right, so that would be over the C chord. We're going to go D to E. Over the G chord, we're going to go that 2, the A, to the B, the 3rd. And then over the A minor chord, we're going to go from that B, that 2nd, to the 3rd, B, to C. And then over the F chord, we're going to go second, which is this G, to the third, which is the A, all right? And that resolution, oops, I need to hit OK, I think. There we go. Okay, so you can see that. All right. That resolution, so now you'll have two options, okay? So let's look at we're on over the C chord, we're playing a D note, and we were playing it with our third finger before, because we were getting ready to go to the first finger, right? We could play that with our first finger now. I was telling you to find all these notes with your first finger, and that way we can go to the third, which is right the two frets up, at least for 3 of the chords, all right? On the C chord we have D to E, okay? Then we're gonna go up here to the A note, the 10th fret of the 2nd string, and we'll stay on the 2nd string here. And we're going to go to the 12th fret, which is the 3rd of the G chord, which is the 2nd chord in the progression. The next chord in the progression is A minor. We're going to the B, which is the 2nd. And we're going to just go up 1 fret to that C note. Okay? And that B over the A minor creates such beautiful tension. And then that going to the C resolves it. Now here's something interesting. There's a C in the next chord, so we could just say there. But because we're trying to learn these resolutions and these odd notes over the chords to make our soloing more interesting, we're going to go down to the 2nd of the F chord, okay, which is a G note, to A. Okay, so again, we're at the 7, 9. Sorry I don't have diagrams for this, but... And then we're going to go 10, 12 on the 2nd string, 12, 13, and then we're going to go 8 to 10. You could turn that into an exercise. But here's what it sounds like over the slower tempo. I have to be on this. There we go. There's tension, but it goes away. Tension, it goes away. Tension. All right? Can you play that? Acoustic guitar might be a little tight up here, but you should be fine. And if you can find the roots of each of these notes, the chords, it's easy to find that 2nd because it's a whole step up. Now I'm going to give you one caveat, actually technically 2, but we don't really talk about the 7 chord very often. But over the 3 chord, which is in the key of C, is E minor, there is no 2 resolution like that. It's an F note. It doesn't really work over E minor. So you're probably not going to do it. I've made that mistake. I made that mistake this weekend at church. Actually, my brain shut off, and we were over the 3 chord, and I played that 9th and that 2nd, and it didn't work. And I was like, immediately took it away. And I was like, dang it! You could probably watch the worships. I don't remember which service it was. You could probably watch it online, and you go, oh shoot, Tom, there it is. There's the note. You know. I don't know how loud I am in the broadcast mix, but we have a lot of musicians up there. They prioritize the singers on the broadcast mix. So if you're watching the church service to hear me play, you're probably not going to hear much of me. You're going to hear maybe more of Alex than me, my son. All right, so okay, so are you guys getting that? Anybody commenting? I'm assuming when the comments, the chat stops, that you guys are all doing this, which is awesome. So to me, that's a good sign when the chat comes to a grinding halt that I'm actually showing you something you can use. All right, let's keep doing this. I'll tell you what, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to stick with the slow progression, and hopefully the balance is good. We're going to stick with the slow progression. We're going to go 2, 1, and then 2, 3. So we're going to go 2, 1 the first time through the progression. The next time, so it's like this. You could almost use your first finger for everything. Okay, which that by itself is good. If I did that over all of that over, like just how I played it over the slow progression. If you could get that down, that would be great, but that's not what I'm asking you to do. All I'm asking you to do is do a D note over the C for 4 beats, then to C, and then we're going to do the G, the A over G to A, and then the B. So we're doing the first one, the 2-1 resolution, first time through the progression. Then we're going to do a 2-3 resolution the second time through the progression. And the reason I'm showing you this is so you can get this kind of thing. It's less of a dexterity issue, because I would want you to be able to do this in all keys, all over the fretboard, and I know that's a big order, all right? But I don't need you to do 12 keys this week kind of thing. It's an as-needed thing. Let's say you're playing with some friends, you got a song in the key of D, and the song's like D to G to A to G again, and there's no B minor or anything like that. You can try to find these notes with that chord progression and try to get it down for that. Maybe even do a little recording so you have a loop to practice over and find them. But ultimately what you want to do is you kind of want to mix it up, okay? Because I might do 2, 3 to 2 and 2, 1. Then 2, 3, 2, 1. So that, all I did was I was just kind of doing the 1, 2, 3, and that's another thing we can do. We could do 1, 2, 3 over each of these. Because now you know the 2, and you know its relationship or movement to the 1 and the 3, and on each of these chords, so you could create a little scale out of those 3 notes. Right? So it's a way to create some melodic ideas, and it's a way to just like have a start to an idea for a solo, because that's really the hardest thing. It's like, how do I start? Where do I go? What do I do? Do I just do scales? And in this scenario, and again, you could play the key of C, major scale, works over, all of these notes are in the key of C, so technically I'm just playing C scale, but I'm just using little pieces of it. But I'm not just going, because that's not a scale, that's not a solo, that's an exercise. And so, but that's one way you can think of it, or you can think of it as you can think of each chord individually, and like, are you going to play over each chord? You could also have, I've got a bunch of, 1 to 5 licks. So you could be thinking of those transitions between the chords, like C to G. You could have, like this. I'm getting ahead of myself here. But there's definitely different ways to think about. We're going to talk about this in future lessons, about different ways to think about a progression and visualize yourself playing over it. And it can be all of them in the same solo. You could be playing a scale. You could be ripping on a scale because you just want to do a fast line. Like a lot of times, like say I'm in a rock situation. Let's see, where was that? Was it this one? See, I'm on a G chord, and I know a D note works over the G chord, but I want to have something kind of flashy to get there. I just played a C scale. I could do the same thing like here. over the A. So then I did a C major scale really fast, and I resolved it to the second of the A minor chord to get that. So I'm using a combination of tricks or tools, a fast scale to get me to a place, and then the place that I'm getting to is a beautiful note, a note outside the chord, for example. I could have resolved it. I could have just gone right to C, and the C works great over the A chord. Okay, yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. Is we're going to try to develop a bunch of tools. All right, so because I know I'm a tool. Let's see again. So we're going to go first time through the progression. We're going to go 2 1. Next time through the progression, we're going to go 2 to 3, and you can just sit on that 2 for 4 beats, and then 4 beats. Go out tons of time. 12th fret to 10th fret, 8th fret to 6. Okay, now we're going to go 7 to 9. And we're going to go 10 to 12. We're going to go 12 to 13. We're going to go 8 to 10. Back down here and back 2 to 1. You can hit the notes, keep them going. You do all chord notes. Rhythm is another way to bring in okay, now what I just did was I played the 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 over all 4 chords, and I did quarter notes. Those were quarter notes. Okay, check that out with this sound. I'll go up an octave, and now I've created maybe kind of a Coldplay like. Let's see if I get a sound here. Ooh, that's gonna be loud. Kind of a Coldplay. I'm gonna maybe change picks. I'm gonna go to a bumpy pick. Okay, so I have these attack picks. Let me see if their attack picks sell at Amazon. Okay, and I'll put a link to them because they're kind of fun to have around. It's not very expensive. I think you can. It's like I don't. Well, let me look it up first, and that way I have a link here you can go to. And if you do any shopping at Amazon, let's see if they have it. Oops, pick. Yeah, and this says acoustic attack pick, but. Oh yeah, they have a, okay, so it's the variety pack that I recommend picking up because they have a bunch of weird picks. Let's see, I think this is it here. Acoustic Attack Stealth. Okay, let's see. I thought they were called, let me see what other, there we go. Other products they have. Okay, visit the Attack Pick Store. Oh, this is it. Yeah. All right. So the variety pack. Where is it? Additional picks. I guess they're not doing. That's weird. Oh, bestsellers. Okay, let me see. Okay, they do have. Let's see if I have a. What I want is the variety pack. Dang it. Let me. Can I create a... Yeah, let me just copy this and see if this opens up this window so you can... I hate for you to buy 10 of the same one because you don't really know. What I want you to do is kind of the multi-pack that has one of each of their picks, which is cool. I mean, this one's like really weird and bumpy. This one is really crazy. So listen, so let me, to my point. Okay, so it did open the window. So here, this is, you can click on that and it'll open up that attack pick window. Okay, so check this out. Here's my tone. It's probably too loud, but over that progression, oh, sorry. I gotta mute this. I forgot there was some guitars on there. Okay, that's funny. That's a little annoying. And so what I just did was I used that 2-1 resolution over each of those individual chords to kind of create a really high, what could be a rhythm. You could actually have a singer sing while that's going on, right? Maybe I could add a... You could do it a lot of different ways. I mean, and that could be a solo too. I've done solos like that. They say, hey, can you play a solo? And then out of the blue, I do something that could technically be considered a rhythm part over that. Sorry. Brain's just like, ooh, let's do something new. Okay. Okay. Now, that sounds not a bad sound. I can stay on that one, but I'm going to go back to my kind of jazzy sound here. All right. So, again, what we did was 2, 1. Here we go. 10th fret to 8th fret. 12th fret to 10th fret. 8th fret to 6th fret. And now we're going to do the 1 or 2 to 3. So I'm there over the C chord, I'm playing 7 to 9 on the 3rd string. And then I'm 10 to 12, 12 to 13. Now, over the last chord, I could go, melodically, I hear that. Okay, so check this out. Okay, what did I do there? Well, so I just sat on the C note. Well, when the chord changed, though, that C note went from being the 3rd of the chord to being the 5th of the chord. So that C was the 3rd. If you look over here at these chords, if A minor, it's the A, C, E. That's the 3rd, root 3rd, 5th. The C is the 3rd of that chord. Well, then the chord changed. I stayed on C to the F chord. It changed to the F chord. I stayed on C, and now that note became the 5th. And then I went to the D, which is the 6th over that C, another suspension, another suspended note. Yeah, it definitely, mother, yeah, I can totally see that, Sam. That's a great observation. And that D note really wants to go up to the E, which is the 3rd of the C chord. So you end up with this kind of, for example, if you did this, it's kind of boring. But it's an exercise. It's an exercise for you to help you to find the 2nd of each of these chords, because the 2nd is an interesting note. And then the choice you have when you play the 2nd is you can resolve it down, okay, or you can resolve it up. The same thing's true with the 4th. You could technically resolve the 4 up or down. 4s usually want to resolve down. 6s almost always want to resolve down because you're not going 6 to root, you're going 6 to 7. my plan was to hit on the 7th, but what time? It's already 10:13. To hit on the 7th today, but I think we got enough to bite off here. Now keep in mind the progression that I uploaded. So maybe what I need to do is loop the slower progression. Although you might be able to slow it down some softer. But in the faster, if you can find these notes, try to do it in different octaves too. And keep in mind the outside notes or the suspended notes sound a little bit better in the middle and upper registers. In the lower registers, that can create kind of a muddy sound. Like if I play the D here over the C, it's going to be a little... It doesn't quite work. If you did it in the bass, it might be interesting. If you did something like on the piano, you did like... If the bass all went to the second, then you create this kind of pseudo 11 chord, and then over the G it would be yeah, too weird. Over the A minor. But the F over G or the G over F are very common 4 and 5 chords that you can play that lead strong to C. I'll give you an example. Like for example, if I play, that's an F with a G in the bass. That what you're kind of doing is the 5 chord. They got the G to C, 5. That's a strong resolution. The 4 to 1, right? That amen cadence. All right, that's a strong resolution. So when you do an F over G, you're taking the bass of the 5 chord and the chord of the 4 chord and combining them. And it's a very 70s thing to do. That chord, some people might call that like a G11, but really there's no, you know, there's not all those notes. It's simply an F triad over a G note to C. And then you could do the other way around. You could do a G triad over an F bass. So what I'm doing is a 5 chord over the 4 in the bass. Yeah, Sam knows the names of all these. I learned them in high school and college, but I've totally forgotten. Plagal cadence. Is the plagal the 5-1 or is the plagal the 4-1? I always forget. I could look it up. But Sam, that's the kind of thing that people just like, oh, I'm out. They start hearing things like that. I mean, I run that risk when I start saying Ionian and Phrygian and Lydian and Dorian, and people are like, oh, all right, that's Greek to me. I'm out. So, but the progression I uploaded, and so what I can do here is let me, okay, there's the click, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off this click. I'm going to mute this here, and I'm going to loop this for like 10 minutes, like I say I do. I love to loop things for 10 minutes, all right? So that's 122.42, so that's going to take me out to where? Well, way out. I got to go way out. Oh, yeah, these are long. All right, so maybe out to here. We got the 122 to 129, really. All right, got to go further out. Sorry, hold on. Oh, I see, it's right there. Duh. Get rid of this. Boom. I think I got it already. Okay, so let me bounce this real quick. Oh, I got to get the click in. I could put a drum beat in here. Do you want a drum beat? But then I have to put bass. I'm just going to do piano. Okay, so again, the Discord link up here, I don't know where it is on my screen. Where is it on the screen? The Discord link, click on that, and then you'll be able to, I'm going to upload, I'm going to, literally while I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm going to bounce this and I'm going to upload it. So let's see, what do I call, what did I call the other one? Give me a second here. Where is that? Here's the folder. Or did I save it on my desktop? It doesn't really matter. Oh, I probably put it in here. That's right. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to call it this, but I'm going to say, so I'm going to call it the same thing I called it before, but slow. Like me. All right, so bouncing. It'll take a minute. 4-1. Oh, Plagalist 4-1. Okay. Perfect cadence is 5-1. Hey, Scott. Oh, man, you were here the whole time. Okay, that's awesome. It's nice to see you. Of course, he's gone now, so I'm talking to nobody. All right, so how are we doing? How many people we have? We peaked at, oh, we got 25. Yeah, that's okay. 26. Okay, we're kind of at the high right now. So I'll keep teaching if you're still going to be there for a little bit. Like I said, I got a session here a little bit. I need to prep for. I think, in fact, speaking of uploading and downloading, let me see if he put stuff in my folder. Where are you? There we are. Yes. Okay. I'm doing a session for Wounded Warrior. I don't know if you know that minister that. Let's see. No, how do I want to do this? Let's see. Put it right into our folder. There we are. All right. All right. So that's downloading. And then I think I'm done with this R track. So let me go to the desktop here. Yep, it's done. Okay, so I'm going to grab this and I'm going to put this in the Discord. So hold on a second. Let's go to Discord. And it'll be under the lesson plan, you know, the tab, the Tom's Lessons and PDFs or something like that, okay? I don't have the Discord app. I don't have the Discord amp either. I don't need that. Okay, so here we go. Tom's lesson. Okay. Oh, yeah, and that's exactly where the other one was. Okay, so here it is. I'm gonna try to do this. Hit return, and it's uploading. So now you've got the slower version of that. Direct message. Oh, I've got, no, that's not what I want. Okay, just gotta make sure I've got a composer that reaches out to me through Discord. So I don't, all right. Hey, J-Dub, what's going on? No problem. I'm glad you kind of stepped in and said, hey. All right, so like I said, I've got the slower version now. So you can really practice finding these roots, then you find the 2, and then you find the 3. And remember, the 3rd is going to be 1 fret up on the minor chord. See, we don't need the count off. Now, the problem with this slow tempo, without the click, yeah, I don't know. Well, maybe I can. I think it's a trailer for them. So if you ever get Wounded Warrior ads on your YouTube or anything like that, which I never do, I'm not sure if it's for TV. It might be for TV. But I know I'm playing acoustic and electric, so it's not going to be, it tends to be kind of like country stuff. And I just jacked up my first finger. I know when I played piano, I messed up my fingernail. Hold on. Fingernail maintenance before it gets worse. All right, so let's do this, the 2-1 thing in one position. Let's see if we can do this. So what I'm going to play is the 2-1 we did before. Okay, over C, and then we have G is the next chord. So we have the 2-1 here, and then we have up here. So I'm actually staying on the same frets but changing strings. And then this one, we're going to have to change frets and fingers. All right, but this is a good exercise because this will, and you can go back and forth. So if you get bored sitting on the 2 note for 4 beats and bored sitting on the root for 4 beats, you can. Okay. All right, so check this out. And then same 7/5 on the 4th string, then 7/5 on the 1st string. And then 8/6 on the 2nd string. It's almost like a pentatonic scale, but not really. If I just played those notes. Sorry. Now, we don't have to start on the 2. We can start on the 1. Up to the 1st string. 2nd string. Okay. Now, what's interesting is that we can take that whole scale, that whole shape. It's kind of weird. It's kind of cool. I like it. It sounds kind of computery, right? And again, all I did was I did the 2-1 on C here, and the 2-1 in G here, and the 2-1 in A minor here, and the 2-1 in F there. So I'm all in one position. So we're not jumping around so much. That's all I did. Technically, all of them are in the same octave as this, except that the G chord, that one where I went down. Okay. Now, if I just take that shape, that whole thing, and go up 2 frets, that's the only note that's bad. So over the C, this is the 2 to 3. Over the G, this is a 2 to 3. Over the A, we're going to use our 2nd finger. We're going to go up 1 fret. And then here, it's the same. So remember, we had that kind of weird shape. Again, that's a beautiful kind of. What if it? It sounds cool. It's like outside a little bit, but it's all notes that'll work. So, and then I'm going to go here to the 2, and then here. I'm not going to isolate that finger. So this is the D to E over C. This is the A to B over G. This is the 2-3 resolution. B to C, and then G to A. Hope so. I'm mixing it up a little bit, okay? So I'm mixing it up. I'm doing like a 2-1, and I'm doing a 2-3, and I'm doing a 2-1 and 2-3, right? So it was like, it's a way of kind of getting that from being too boring, right? And you can use all of these tools in like composing. Go ahead and take a sip because I'm changing guitars. But like you can, and then we didn't talk about we didn't really talk about the 1 to 2 movement. We did more like start on the 2, and then where do you go from the 2? You go to the 1 or do you go to the 3? And it's kind of like dealer's choice. You know, if you're the player, you get to choose if you're going to resolve that 2 to the 1 or if you're going to resolve the 2 to the 3. And so I showed you how to do it on 4 chords in the key of C. The world is your oyster here. You can do it. You know, we've got all 12 keys you can work on. I don't generally, unless you're a pro player. If you're a pro player, then yes. If your desire is to become a professional player, then sure, work on all 12 keys. But even then, it's kind of like you're almost wasting your time. You may never get asked to play in the key of G flat. So why learn all the 2, 1, 2, 3 resolutions in every chord in the key of G flat if you're not going to use it? Plus, not only that, guitar is so shape driven. If you know it in F and you know it in G, you should be able to figure it out in G flat on the fly if you're a pro. So you don't really need to learn everything. It's not like piano. When you do a scale, you really kind of need to learn it in every position because the fingering is different. When I play a C scale, and it's totally, I think, sorry, I'm not a piano player. I hate playing in flat keys. But like on the piano, on the C scale, I cross over my thumb on the 4. So I go 1, 2, 3, and then I bring my thumb over and I finish it out with like that. With E flat, for example, you don't really. I don't think you do that. I think, boy, there's no good way to cross over on E flat. But some scales you would cross over with at different points in the scale, so you can play 8 notes with one hand. And so you kind of need to learn all of them in the different, because they change them. The guitar is like, I learned a C scale on the guitar. And I just move it around and I can play B flat. It's the same shape. So in some ways it's kind of an easy instrument. In other ways, it's very complex. Like I've said, it's this weird balancing act. Super easy to get started on guitar. Once you kind of get the dexterity down, the left hand thing takes a minute, but once you learn a couple chords, you can play a couple songs. You know, and but to master it, I don't know that I would ever consider anyone a master because there's so many genres. Sure. Segovia was a classical master, but he couldn't do jazz. You know, Wes Montgomery was a jazz master, but he couldn't do classical. Steve Vai, great rock player. I don't think he really plays classical or jazz. Guthrie Govan is probably the closest, one of the closest to being able to master it. I'd say maybe Eric Johnson is kind of in that mode too. Although I'm not exactly sure I would say that Eric Johnson was a phenomenal improviser. I know that sounds weird to say. I'm probably going to get taken to task for saying that. The reason I say that is because I know he would spend so much time in the studio working on his solos, and that's he comes up with great solos. But live, he kind of does those solos. A lot of guitar players, I think Oz Noy, phenomenal improviser. I mean, holy cow, he won't play the same song the same way twice. But Jeff Beck, on the other hand, would kind of play the same song, would kind of play the solos from his records. So if you were to throw some weird, like, new song in and he was playing over it, he would kind of find some cool things to do and he would kill it and it would sound amazing because it was freaking Jeff Beck. But he's not necessarily going to be like improvising. I don't know. Jeff, I don't really know so much as far as like, I've not heard him play live as much as some other players. But I do know that there are players that kind of work out their solos and in live they kind of play those solos. And so you might not, they might not be able to go, obviously playing over bebop, improvising over bebop is completely different than improvising over a rock song. But yeah, that's kind of, I'll call that a ninth etude. Well, ninth or second. So just so you don't get confused, the ninth is the same as a second. Okay, so if we were to count up this scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we'd get to that D note. All right. So back in the day, and Sam and I are both from back in the day. So is Bruce and Bob. We're all from back in the day. We used to call that chord, like that C with you add the pinky here, okay, or this, we would have called that a C add 9. Well, I started about 30 years ago or so, I started calling it a C2 chord because I'm like, why are we confused? Why do I have to write the word add? That seems like unnecessary. I said, can I just call, because we had a C6 chord, which was a C with a 6. We didn't call it a C add 6. I don't remember ever calling C6 C add 6. Well, I said, so C2 is just a C triad with a 2 added. C9 is a completely different chord. C9 is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So when you see C9, C9, I don't know how to do it backwards. It's every other note from C to the 9. The confusing thing about it is if I write C9 down, it's actually C dominant ninth. So that would be a B flat, which isn't in the scale. But my point is it would be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So if you play 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 in the key of C, that would be a C major 9. If you played a B flat, it would just be C9. If you played a B flat and an E flat, it would be a C minor 9. But a ninth chord is 5 notes. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. An add 9 chord was just 1, 3, 5, 9. And I'm like, well, why not just put that 9 in here? It doesn't have to, it can be anywhere. And we call it a 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay? So instead of going 1, 3, 5, add 9, we're going 1, 2, 3, 5. So that's, I don't know if you, Sam, have you ever been able to call it a 2 chord, or do you still call it an add 9 chord? Because, some people are like sticklers for sticking to with how they learned it. Going, well, that's how I learned it, and that's how it's supposed to be. And I'm like, well, yeah, and that's how I learned it too. But I personally changed it when I was teaching students. And it wasn't because I saw it written anywhere. It was just I started doing it. And then I went, well, wait a minute. If you can have a C2 chord, you could have a C4 chord. And what would that look like? Well, that would be a C triad with a 4 added. Or no, sorry. Or this. Or this. I love that chord. But I got a C triad. Actually, I don't have a 5th in there. But I love that rub of the 2 and the 3, the 3 and the 4 against each other. And next week, yeah, you still call it a C add 9. Yeah, see, to me that's too much work. Keep in mind, when I was teaching, I had 30 minutes to teach a kid a song, and if it was a C add 9 chord, I'm just like C2. This is, if I could save 1/2 of a second or 1 second, it meant, how many seconds are in 39? Well, that's 1,800 seconds, So I only have so many seconds in 30-minute lesson to get through a song or whatever. So, it says, what is more confusing is that when playing these chords, which include all the intervals, you can drop one of the notes out to with no root or no fifth. Yeah, the no fifth thing is pretty common. No third is another one. It's like, wait, what? No third? But like, I remember A2, no third. Or A add 9, no third. It's like, really? You mean this? You're just like, take an A minor chord with your first finger on. You're like, I saw that written, A add 9, no third in parentheses. I mean, I'm not writing that out. I just call that an A2 chord. The only problem was calling it A2 chord. No, unfortunately, you would have to call that like an A2 no third. But I got rid of the add 9. Because A2 is actually this, an A minor, and you don't know what this A2 is over. If the next chord is F, then you're not going to want, well, you might. I like that. That's a beautiful sound. It reminds me of a James Bond, you only live twice or something. I don't know. All right. Hey, Jim McDougal, what's going on? So you're late. I know we're about, hey, South Africa. Well, what time is it? Dang, dude, it's past your bedtime. But thanks for joining us. I appreciate that. Stay safe in South Africa. It's a beautiful country. I've not been, sorry. I say that just from pictures. But I hear the surfing is good there. Are you a surfer? I think I watched a documentary on a guy that photographed fish and stuff. It was kind of weird. He almost kind of had an odd relationship with this shark. Octopus. It was about octopus. And it was like, okay, dude, you're getting a little too emotional about this octopus who just died. But anyway, because I think they only live about a year, and he photographed its whole life, basically, which I get, but I don't know what result he was expecting. Oh, you got an ad. Well, that's okay. I make a little bit of money from the ads. Not a lot, but and I think I have them staggered, so not everybody's getting an ad at the same time. So we're at 21 right now, which is great. But I'm gonna sign off because I have to. So I've got a session today. Composer's coming over, and he sent me all the files. So what I do before he gets here, I create the session in my DAW, which is Logic, and I drop all his files in. I print up his charts, all that stuff, so I'm ready to go. I mean, I may not print charts. He almost always brings charts, but then I will. Oh, you were a surfer back. Oh, you were a surfer back in the '60s. Nice. In Ohio? No. I was gonna say, okay, so that's French Polynesia. That is interesting. I didn't know that, Sam. Surfing is is one of those competitions. Well, surfing is kind of one of those competitions that's judged. So it could be potentially arbitrary. I know they've had judging issues in the past with like the gymnastics where the judges were, like they had to create the whole thing where they had to have American judges and Russian judges, and they had to throw out the lowest and not throw out the highest because the American judge was giving low rate to the Soviet, and the Soviets were giving low numbers to the Americans and all that stuff. So they got in the habit of throwing out the high and the low, which is hilarious. People are like, why did they throw out the high and the low? Well, it's because of the U.S.-Soviet relationship. They had to do that, and so they basically almost on anytime there was a Soviet or American gymnast, basically neither one of the Soviets or the U.S. got to vote on it because they pretty much were always the high-low and the whole thing. So, but I do think that when Nadia Comaneci did her thing, the U.S. gave her a 10. So. So that may not be a a consistent problem, but it was kind of a thing. That's kind of why they throw out the low high. I get throwing out the high because I think well, and the low too, because you get people that are anti certain countries or pro certain countries. So the French judge may go, oh, that French gymnast is the best, or whatever. And you're going to probably see that same thing in surfing. They'll probably get rid of the low and high. There'll probably be 7 judges, and they only five get to vote or something like that. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm not, when it comes to, and gymnastics is a little bit more like, oh yeah, that was clearly that floor exercise was better than this person's floor exercise or this pommel horse or whatever. It's pretty obvious. So, but you still do need judges in that. It's not like there's no judges in track and field. It's like who threw the furthest, who jumped the furthest, who ran the fastest. It's pretty straightforward. The same thing with basketball. It's like who scored the most points. Well, there you go. But surfing is one of those that's kind of going to be like, okay, it's judged, so it's fine. It's just not, for me, it's not as definitive or exciting. But it'll be cool to see that. I think that's is it a test or is it final? Is it going to be permanent? Do you know, Sam? I'm talking about surfing in the Olympics. Is an Olympic sport now. And I have to put down my coffee. I'm cutting back on my coffee. I was getting a little jittery, and I was like, what is causing that? My hands were like a little bit shaky, and I'm like mid-afternoon, and I also would get tired around 3 o'clock, and I said, you know what? It's probably the coffee. I mean, I drink one of these every day, and that's a big one, and it's Starbucks, and it's just coffee. I'm not getting espresso, which I always think of as being stronger than coffee. But some people are telling me that's not exactly true. Oh, from Charlotte Airport, headed for New England. Awesome, David. Oh, wait, you're in the country. Awesome, because I think you live in Great Britain in UK, right? It's no big deal, Sam. I'm just curious if you knew off the top of your head. I I body surf, but I don't think I've ever tried surfing. I tried wind sailing, which is a surfboard with a sail on it, in Indiana on Lake Maxinkuckee, and my friend Chip was really good at it. He was showing me how to do it, and I slipped. I lost my balance. I slipped off the board, and I caught myself like this on the board, going into the water. And there was a piece of metal sticking up, and I still have a scar from it. I cut my right here, and it was bleeding pretty. Of course, in the water, it looks like it's a lot worse than it is. But I was like, yeah, I can't hurt my hands. And now the likelihood of hurting your hands windsurfing is really like hurting your hands surfing. But it's like in my head, I was like, okay, I'm out. If I can't hurt my hands. So that's what's Project Sam? Sorry. Okay, so I will talk to you all next Monday, Lord willing, and appreciate you all being here. February 22, the IOC designated skateboarding. Skateboarding is another one that's kind of one of those ones that's like judged. Sport climbing, that's a speed thing, right? So that would be and surfing. So they're including the X Games because the X Games viewership is higher than the Olympics. That's hilarious. I mean, they did it with snowboarding has been in for a long time. So it makes sense that skateboarding would be in. I'm assuming sport climbing would be a speed competition. So the closest I have gotten to surfing is covering a Beach Boys song. You and me both, man. Yeah, I'm not I need to play tennis more. I haven't played tennis. My tennis elbow is fine. I don't feel anything anymore, but I know if I go out and play tennis, I'll probably jack it up again. So yeah, I appreciate those little hearts there. I can hit a heart too. Look, woo, yay! I gave myself a heart. I gave myself a happy face. Party, woo! Look at all this. I don't know if you've seen this. Anyway, it's silly. Okay, so so next Monday it is, and we'll continue on this. So we talked about the 2-3, 2-2-1 resolution. What we're going to probably do is we're going to go and do more of this. We're going to go talk about the 4, the sus4, and we're going to resolve it down to the 3, which is the most obvious thing. And there's going to be a beautiful thing though. Like sometimes we're going to go down a half step, and sometimes we're going to go down a whole step. And like the 4 over the F sharp is actually technically a sharp 4, and we'll talk about that. But that's a beautiful note. It's kind of like the B over the A minor. It's the same kind of vibe. So we'll definitely have fun doing that. So next week we'll talk about the 4, 3, 4, 5 suspension, and then the next week we'll talk about maybe 6 and 7s. Okay, we'll work on those and how to find them. That's the other thing is, you know, it's one thing to go, oh, okay, I get the theory of it, but Tom, how do I find those notes in this progression? And that's kind of what we did. We like find the roots. If you can find the roots, then you can find the second. And if you can find the second, you can find the third. And it's kind of the same thing. We know where the third is, so we're going to find the third, and then we're going to go to the fourth. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 3. And then we'll go ahead and probably do 4, 5. And the 5's pretty easy to find. If you can find the 1, the 5 is almost always like a power chord away. So we'll talk about that. I'm going too fast. Don't worry about it. Oh, you're Arizona, David. Okay, it's David S. Sorry. We have another David S. that is from Scotland, I think. So very different than Arizona. Well, you enjoy the weather. Well, the weather's been pretty nice in Arizona right now. It's been beautiful here. Like we've got great weather right now, and the rain. I love the rain, and I'm sure you're probably in the same boat, David. So major 6 and 9th go nice as an arpeggio, 100%. The other thing, I just recently saw a video about this, and it was really spot on. Kind of playing over certain progressions, particularly the B section of I Got Rhythm, which is a circle of fifths progression. We could talk about soloing over that. That's going to be pretty complex, though. I mean, that's where, you know, the E7 to the A7 to the D7 to the G7. You know, that progression is kind of hard to solo over, and it's a circle of fifths, but it's just a 4-chord progression. It's like 4 chords in a circle of fifths, and so I was watching a couple of videos on how to solo over that, and I was like, oh yeah, that. And then I applied some of that stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, that does sound better. And it's amazing, you know, that's the thing I love about music and guitar. You can never stop learning. And I'm always learning. I'm learning new instruments all the time and trying to practice those and stuff. And you know, I've said this in the past. One of the best ways to learn something is to create your own exercise that really works that thing, but make it something that sounds like a song. So now you have content. You know, it's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm working on my 2, 1, 2, 3 suspension. So I'm going to write this song that does that, and now I've got a song that I can use for different events or things or whatever. So anyway. Yeah, David S. and David Sillers are from Scotland. Yeah, we have 2 we have a lot of Davids. Anyway, okay. God bless you all. We only have 1 Bruce though, and 1 Holly, who wasn't here. Well, Holly wasn't here, right? Am I mistaken? And Dennis, was Dennis gone too? Did you say something at the beginning and I missed it? Like, oh, Dennis and Holly aren't going to be here. Anyway, I'll see you all next Monday. Okay, take care. God bless. Bye bye.